Now on Inside the Tournament, Jillian Sakovits. Jill, welcome to the show.
Oh, I feel like I never left TST. I can't believe it's almost been a year. I'm so excited. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I mean, you did a great job on the call last year on the sidelines. And, I really like when guests reach out to me and say, we should talk some TST because that's when I know we're going to talk some good TST and good ball on this podcast. So I appreciate you reaching out and I appreciate you, taking the time to talk some TST today.
Oh, my pleasure. Well, like I was saying to you guys, to you and Ethan, I think TST does such a good job of finding a way to keep the momentum going all year. Which, listen, it's hard in the course of a soccer season. In MLS, for example, February to December, it is tough to keep the momentum alive, let alone for what is a 1 week tournament. So TST does a great job. And I think the way that the tournament is set up keeps some of these memories still top of mind for me.
Yeah, we were talking about it a little bit before we jumped into this, but obviously you had a couple meetings prior to TST, but then once you got there and you saw what it was all about, take me through your brain at that point.
Year one, you're like, what is this? And then you're like, this is really cool. So, and same thing like today, I reached out to John, the founder, and was like, I want to be a part of this. This was so fun. I don't care what it takes. I don't care how many days. I I want to be there. So year two, it was everything that John described in its roots of that TST wants to be what all of these professional athletes or amateur athletes loved about the game when they were 8, 12, 14 years old of, okay, we're going to a weekend tournament. We're packing our backpacks, grabbing a bunch of waters, and we're going to be hot and we're going to be out there all day. And you're not going to know who you're going to play. You're just going to be playing a bunch of games and you're going to kind of figure it out, but you're also going to go bond with your friends afterwards and eat or go to a hotel. And that's exactly what, even as a sideline reporter, I felt like I was doing. And I saw guys who have had an entire professional career, like a Sasha Kleshtin or a Mike Grella or a Sergio Aguero or a Nani, who were doing exactly that in the middle of North Carolina, just kind of reliving the glory days of why they love the game. And there's just fans sitting on bleachers. And then the access I was blown away by because we're all just in this little bubble out in North Carolina. And it was perfect.
Yeah, it kind of feels like a college tournament in the sense where like all the players are, there's some mega, mega, mega stars, but they also are just like relaxed about it. Like I saw last night in a Stanford basketball game, a kid was getting interviewed after his game, and there was a kid in the stands dancing, and the person doing the interview on SportsCenter was like, "Turn around, there's a Stanford kid dancing with you, like bring him into the interview." And he's a college kid, so he's not like getting mauled by media and fans and
Yep.
stuff, and he brought the kid into the interview, and I kind of feel like that's the vibe at TST. No one says no to media stuff. No one
No.
says no to coming on the
Hey, Chris
broadcast.
Paul.
Right.
Hey, Chris Paul. Like you're just hanging out watching this for 10 hours. I'm just going to stand here with a mic. We're going to go back and forth while we're watching the game. And I think TST, it's such a delicate balance in some ways because you want all the hype and you want all the attention. But in some ways, when you're there, you really feel like you're one in a bazillion people that's just having this very unique experience. And I think that the fans, who came to watch Wrexham, for example, felt that way. And I know I felt that way because I'm sitting there kind of reliving my own soccer days. And as I'm kind of watching the US women, I'm just casually talking to Michelle Akers, casually seeing Mia Hamm on the sideline, and just talking to them about what they're seeing. And that's exactly what you do at a tournament.
Yeah, I'm sure you were able to definitely after last year add a bunch of random names to your list of people that you've interviewed
That
or,
was great.
or done a sideline report with. I want to ask you this most memorable moment for you. I want to stick to when you were on camera. So, most memorable moment for you on camera from TST last year or year one, you pick.
Michelob Ultra beer shower with Concafa, aka Pat McAfee's team, would be the most memorable because it was these random, and I mean this in an endearing way, MASL guys that he had just met. And then it was friends of his like Mike Grella, he's relishing in it. He signed up because he found it on TV the year before and was just like, I want to do this. So that was the most memorable. And I have to give a very close, like 1B to, I don't even remember his name, but their team, so it would have been Newtown, booked themselves a game against Nani in the semifinal. And so then the game leading up to that, they didn't know who they were going to be facing. And I just said, who do you want? And I remember saying, you can have this team, one of the amateur teams,
I know
or
what
do
you're
you
talking
want
about.
Nani? And he looked right at the camera, credit to him, and he's like, we want Nani, let's go. And I love the fearlessness, I think, that I saw from that, of that. If you're really trying to win that $1 million, you don't want to go up against Nani. And they're like, no, we want Nani. So I gotta give the two.
That was Chad Porch
Chad Porch,
on
yes.
Bombonera, who then went on. He
Bombonera,
scored
yes.
the game winner in the final. So he said, I want Nani. And then I think it was Sebastian Salazar, like literally said, he wanted Nani. He
And
got
he
him.
got
Your
Nani,
$1 million.
yes.
Yeah, that
You know
was.
how now I remember Chad Porch, because La Bombonera had a lot of Spanish speakers on that team. And I remember Chad Porch kind of became our go-to
Yeah.
because it was an English broadcast. But yes, Chad Porch, shout out to Pat McAfee, shout out to Chad Porch.
Yeah,
And
those
that's
two
what
moments.
TST is all about.
100%. And the funniest thing about those two moments is it's no surprise that those two moments were like two of the biggest social moments we had by far, was all the beer celebration stuff and then Chad Porch calling his shot and then scoring the game winner. So a lot of content TV crossover between your two answers there.
Yeah, and you would think, and often, like, listen, I cover Messi, so it's like it is the soccer that attracts people, right? He's the best to ever do it, and at the same time, though, it's just the human element that so often is what people are drawn to, and I think that's where TST really has found a really good thing.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the possibilities are now endless of who will play and who will be at TST, whether it's on the pitch, off the pitch, in a cabana. So, who do you think in the world of soccer fits well in the TST world? Like, that's not in it yet. Who's like some people that men, women, celebrities that you were like, this person needs to insert themselves into TST?
I'd like to see a little more sports crossover. So was it Kevin Herter that they were saying, they were talking, the NBA guys were talking about other NBA guys who would do well in the tournament. So
Dennis Schroeder, I think, is the name.
Schroeder, yeah. I'd love to see some of the crossover guys, kind of like what we saw from Pat McAfee, of maybe this wasn't your sport, but you're athletic as hell. Maybe you played in high school, maybe even you played some club in college, and you can come and do this. So I think it would be fun for the NBA guys to, now it should be there for some of them, it should be their off season. Come on, Chris Paul, like make a team and bring some of them out, and then throw the MASL guys in there too.
Yeah, the MASL guys are such like a secret weapon. Like any of the big clubs who are like, how do we be better at TST? You know, Dortmund was not great year one, year two they were better, and now, you know, if they're back for year three, they're going to want to bring a real squad. And our answer is always like, if you want to get better, go scout the MASL, get some guys from there, because, and McAfee says it best, those arena boys, like they are the ones that can really pull a team far. And actually, Kelvin Oliveira Nunez, who scored the game winner year one, the $1 million target score time goal year one, now he's in the MASL and he's like running the MASL. So the crossover there is great too.
It's such an opportunity for guys to make their name. But if I'm thinking about, okay, so they have to be retired because we're in the middle of the season, but I think I'd give Dax McCarty a shout. Recently retired, now moving over to broadcasting. Let him come jump in there. And then
you have to recruit for us. You should start recruiting for TST.
Oh, I can do that.
We'll give you a finder's fee.
I don't even need it.
I want to ask you too, though, because on the women's side,
yeah,
last year was the first year where we had a full women's tournament. Obviously, you experienced calling games and matches for that side of the tournament as well. What were your thoughts on, you know, the expanded TST field to include a women's tournament, and then shout out to Heather O'Reilly, who she was able to, recruit in Allie Krieger and the rest of that team.
That women's team is what dreams are made of. And I think that women's team too was such a microcosm of what makes the US women's national team so good and why they've won 4 World Cups. You have Carly Lloyd coaching pregnant, Mia Hamm coaching. You have Allie Krieger, who said she retired, is now playing like a few months later after everything she did with Gotham. And then you have the 2 women from UNC that end up scoring the goals and winning the game in the final. And that's everything that the women's game is about. It's about the legends and the respect and the success that they've had, but also being able to pass the baton in the moments. And I think that type of camaraderie that you see with the women is exactly why they have 4 World Cups. That's exactly why they were just able to steamroll their way through TST. So I loved everything about the women's. And the plus side too was exactly what Heather O'Reilly did. She lives in the area. I think she had a bunch of people over to barbecue one night. She had an after party. So she made the tournament. She recruited with promising a lot of fun and a lot of food and a reunion. When you look at, they got people from the 99 team and up. It was a reunion for so many of those women.
Yeah, Heather is just an absolute legend. She is
The
so
best.
awesome, so fun to be around. Like every time she's doing, whether it's marketing stuff for us or an interview with you all, like she's the best. So I have an idea for you to expand your TST footprint. You ready
Okay.
for this?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I think we need a little Jilly on the street next year at
Okay.
TST,
What
where
does that mean? But I'll do it.
well, because we have 100 fields at TST. I think last year we played on 7 fields, and there were, especially on the first few days, there's target score time game winners like one after another, 5 minutes after another. I think we need you running from field 1, mic'd up. You're running, you're stopping, you're talking to fans. What'd you think of that game? Wait, there was a target score time goal over there.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
running to a different field. We just need you going up to as many Chad porches as you can after the game and saying,
That's a
who you
great
want to call
idea.
out now.
I think that's a great idea because I think for the casual fan that is showing up to see Wrexham or showing up to see the US women's team or Nani FC, the fact that there's a walk-off element is oh wow, okay, I want to figure this out. So I think that's a brilliant shout. I don't watch a lot of F1, but somebody told me that what we do during the All-Star game is F1-ish, where we just run around interviewing the guys as they're warming up and kind of stampede them. So I have a little bit of familiarity in that, except they're pretty aggravated when I do that to them at the MLS All-Star game. Because sometimes it's I'm trying to think it's Hugo Lloris, goalkeeper for France when they won the World Cup. And even though it's an all-star game, which he's also never played in, because he played in the Premier League most of his club career, and he's what, where am I? What am I doing? And then the fact that a reporter runs up to him during warm-ups is just out of control. So I'd love to kick that up a notch, actually.
Well, I'll run that up the ladder, and we'll try to make that
don't
happen.
get me in trouble on day 1.
But then another thing I wanted to ask you, because you mentioned, the MLS All-Star game. For me, interviewing Pat McAfee after the beer shower, because I talked to him with the phone interview, or riding in a golf cart with Ocho Cinco to his first game. TST has given me some crazy interview moments.
Mm-hmm.
What are some, and this can be non-TST, what are some standout moments for you in your career where you're I can't believe I'm interviewing this person at this location right now, or I can't believe I'm working at this stadium. So, I mean, kind of open-ended for you to take it wherever.
This might sound like the layup answer, but I mean this at every game that I'm at. When they start playing the national anthem and there's the walkouts and everything like that, I really pinch myself. Even if it's a regular season, no disrespect, FC Dallas versus Colorado Rapids type of game. I love what I do. If I had to think of interviews though that stand out, I covered Inter Miami during their shorter than they would have liked playoff run this year. And in the first game that they won against Atlanta United, I talked to Luis Suarez post game, who scored. And for me to be talking to Luis Suarez when he scored in what was Inter Miami's first ever home playoff game, and just walking by him as I'm talking to him is messy, was a real pinch me moment just for the players that I was around, that I never in a million years thought that I would be standing 5 and 10 feet from them. I studied abroad in Valencia, Spain, and I went to a Barcelona game, and I was like in the second to last row at Camp Nou, and I have like on 100 Zoom, like little Messi, like running around in his Barcelona stripes in 2009 and 2010. And I took a picture, and I have like a Barcelona scarf, and never, ever, ever in a gazillion years did I think that then he'd be walking past me. So that was a huge pinch me moment, amongst others. And then maybe ones that are more fun, back in the glory days of Atlanta United, Joseph Martinez messing with me and us going back and forth in English and Spanish and Spanglish. I think that he really helped me understand that, like, the fans wanted to get to know him. He was the pride of Atlanta, and I wasn't going to be perfect. His English, sorry, wasn't perfect. My Spanish is extremely beginner, but we used to just piece things together to try to bring it to the fans. And I think realizing TV doesn't have to be perfect for it to be received perfectly, it would be another one.
I think that interviews and post-game interviews, post-match interviews are just so cool because you never know what you're going to get. And the best is when it's someone who hasn't been in 100 of them and they're just so emotional, so excited to even be in the interview. During these NBA interviews, I watch a lot of NBA, like the guys
Me too.
often are so trained and they're like, yeah, my teammates put me in the position, blah, blah, blah. But then occasionally you'll get a young guy in the NBA who's like, this is so awesome. Like, our team's great. We were rolling. So I think the randomness of post-game, post-match interviews is just so cool. And you do a great job, capturing those moments.
Thank you. Yeah, it's on all of us. So listen, you're going to get the generic answers sometimes, and um, it's on us. I think people often say that, oh, I love interviewing because I love talking to people. And my favorite thing about interviewing is listening to people, really hearing what they have to say and trying, even though there's so much going on. You have a producer talking in your ear, you maybe have 50 to 90,000 fans, it's loud, there's music, trying to listen so that you really can follow up, because I want what the person at home on the couch is thinking or wondering, of like, yeah, but might sound dumb, but like, why did he do that? Of just asking it. And like, listen, sometimes you're going to get made fun of for maybe asking like the basic or the stupid question, but I'll take that 100 times if that's what makes that moment like relatable for everybody that's watching.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, before I get you out of here, I want to leave you with the opportunity. Anything else from TST you want to mention or discuss or share from your time there, or just any questions about TST, anything else you want to get out there? The floor is yours. It's now your show.
Okay, so I think the way that it whittles down to like 5v5, 4v4, and then with Nani, as we saw, like 2v2, is that staying?
Yeah, that'll
Okay.
always stay. I think from year 1 to year 2, we changed the time in between
Yes.
those because obviously it was year 1. There's a lot to learn from, but I mean those 2v2 moments are, in my opinion, just unbelievable because they happen so infrequently too. Like it hasn't gotten stale yet, at least for me, to where like, oh, another 2v2 game. This is taking forever. It's
Um,
like it's so intense in
it
those
caught me
moments.
off guard. Like I knew about it, but then when you're watching it, it's just you're not even watching soccer. You're watching a whole new kind of masterclass of another skill. So that was incredible. I think I would give a shout. I loved what Hurt Gomez said on the pod, that I'd love to see some MLS involvement in some way. It'd be great for the league, and it'd be great for the tournament. And I think lastly, that if you're looking for something to do that weekend, like make the trip. I was like, I kind of just want to come back here with like my friends and my family. So I think that was it. That, yes, of course, we want to push the social and the broadcast aspect, but also like, go to TST.
Yeah, we're not letting you go with your family. You're coming to be on the sidelines interview Grant Williams and Chris Paul again.
They were lovely. They were lovely.
Well, Jill, I appreciate you coming on the show. I'm looking forward to seeing, your MLS coverage this season
Me
and
too.
everything else wherever people may be able to find you, but in terms of following, where's your favorite place for people to follow you?
Twitter, Instagram is just at Jillian Sakovits.
Easy enough. Thanks again.
Yeah. Thank you, Andrew. Thanks for all you do.